Hey everybody, welcome back to the Light Side Music Reactions. Today is our special 300th episode of the Light Side Music Reactions. And so, as I promised, today I'm reacting to one of my own original songs. This one we're reacting to today is Faded Footprints. And I'm going to explain the meaning of the song, how I wrote it, all the background information that anybody might want to know about this song. Hopefully I get it all in here. Maybe I'll forget something, but we'll get into all the details, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Anyway, this song is called Faded Footprints, and I wrote it in October 1995 in memory of a friend of mine, Clay Schlarb, who went to school with my younger brother, Jeremy, and was killed at the age of 17 in a motorcycle accident. And so I wrote this song in his memory for his mother. And I didn't perform it at the funeral. I wrote it like a day or two after the funeral. But I ended up recording it and then made sure she got a copy of it to hear it before she passed away herself several years later. I had just finished recording our first project as a band with my band Crusade, and I decided I wanted to record this song as well, especially to give to his mother. And the studio, the producers that produced our album and recorded it for us, they were doing a compilation CD album that they were taking to radio stations at the time. And they were getting some of the local independent artists and bands that worked with them especially to submit their own original songs. And they offered to help us record them, those of us that didn't already have them recorded. And so I took them up on the offer. I had them help me record the song and put it on that compilation album, which was Precious Songs of the Spirit, Volume 2. It was a group called Whoville Music Company out of around Beverly, Ohio is where they're located. And Marvin and Dina Clark family, local group of Southern gospel country singers. They've been around the area for decades and really putting out some great music, and they were real good mentors to myself and my band. And so they helped us record our first project, and then they recorded this song for me. And at the time, I had been approached by some other friends of ours who were a Southern gospel trio called New Purpose. And it was these two ladies and a gentleman. They were a trio, and the gentleman stopped singing with them. So it was just the two ladies, and they were looking for a third singer to take the place of their singer who had left. And they asked me if I would sing with them. And so I was still singing with the band and playing guitar and everything, and I didn't want to give that up, but I agreed to go ahead and sing with them in my free time. And for a summer, we went together and toured a little bit and did some performing of some traditional Southern gospel music in the style of Karen Peck and New River, that sort of thing. But anyway, when I went into the studio to record this, I asked them to help me do the vocals on it. And so I commented recently on a video where I reacted to Karen Carpenter, and I talked about Machelle Eddy, and she is one of the vocalists from New Purpose. And Machelle had that type of voice the same as Karen Carpenter. Real sultry and low, that just amazing. And I mean, if you would listen to her voice, well, you're going to get a chance to hear it today. But reminds me so much of Karen Carpenter, and I absolutely adore Karen Carpenter. As I said in that video recently, a couple weeks ago, where I reacted to her, I grew up listening to her music, and it really helped me through some really depressing times as a teenager, going through puberty and all the inner turmoil that comes naturally with that process. But anyway, they helped me record this song, and then in 2004 I went back and remixed it. The original version was real country, kind of country bluegrass sounding, and I updated it, and I wanted it to have more of a rock feel, so I went back and added some guitars to it and gave a little bit more of an edgier sound, and I redid the vocals on it. But I left in Michelle's vocal where she sang the second verse. And so we're going to check that out today, and I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go, but I don't want to waste too much time in the lead up to it, so we're going to go ahead and get started right now. If you want to check out the song all the way without me interrupting it and talking over it, there's a link in the description to the original video, and you can go listen to it over there, the official audio. So let's go ahead and begin. Faded Footprints, featuring Machelle Eddy. This is the 2004 remix that I did for my solo album, Where Is Thy Sting? Lone Crusader Volume 1. And here we go. Okay, starts out with a keyboard, and then my acoustic guitar. All right, so the first verse, I'll just go ahead and preface this with a quick story, is when I went into the studio, I wanted to record it with the Clark family. You can hear the piano there, the keyboards. That's Dina Clark, that's Marvin's wife playing it, and I insisted on having her play the keyboards. I mean, this family band is amazing. It's the father and the mother and their daughters that all sing together, and they've got some amazing harmonies. They write their own songs. They do a few covers, but they write a lot of their own stuff. And I always loved Dina's piano playing. And I was like, when I do this song, I definitely, absolutely want Dina to play the piano part on it. And so that's her playing the piano on there. And that's me playing the bass guitar and the acoustic guitar that you hear right there at the very beginning. So I think that's me playing the synthesizer, though. You might hear synthesizer sound, and that's me playing that, just the straight chords. But Dina's actually playing the piano parts, and you'll hear it get real intricate. And I play piano just a little bit, but I can't play intricate the way that she does. And so it's got keyboard plus the piano and that acoustic guitar. And I wanted Marvin to play the bass and the electric guitar, but he insisted on, he said, why don't you just play everything yourself? He said he knew I could play the guitar. He knew I could play the trumpet because I'd already played it with the band on one of our recordings as well. He wanted me to play as many of the instruments as I could because it was my solo project, and he wanted me to feel like it was my project, that I was doing the majority of the stuff on it. And I was like, I know I can't do the drums. So we had his son David play the drums for me. And I said I can do the foot and I can do the hands, but I can't do them at the same time. I don't have the hand-foot coordination. And he said, well, we're a studio. You can do it magically with the magic of studio recording by just playing the kick pedal, and then we'll go back and record you just doing the drum, the hands by yourself without the kick, and just layer them over each other. And I was like, no, let's just have David do it. And David did a fantastic job on it. And then Marvin did go back on the remix and went ahead and added a guitar on that as well. But majority of the instruments on here I was playing, except David did play the drums, and Dina played the keyboard. And then on the remix that you're hearing here, the electric guitar is Marvin, but the acoustic is me. So now looking at the lyrics on here, this is me singing the lyrics on the first verse. I can't explain why some things happen. I know it's hard to understand. When a life so young is ended like footprints in the sand. And I don't know if you were familiar with the poem, Footprints in the Sand, but that's kind of like that's kind of the image I was trying to go for. The original poem was about this man walking through life, and it was like an allegory of walking through and looking back at your life and seeing the footprints as to where you've come in your life and where you're going to. And as he looked back on his life, he saw two sets of footprints. One was his, and one was those of Jesus, who was walking alongside of him. And he noticed as he was walking along that at the most devastating and the most difficult points in his life, there was only one set of footprints. And he said to Jesus, why did you leave me in those difficult times? Those were the times when I needed you the most. And Jesus answered him, he said, though you only see one set of footprints because those footprints are mine. I didn't abandon you. Those were the times when I carried you. Is when you couldn't walk yourself, and I picked you up and helped you through those difficult times. And so as I was writing this song for his mother, I know I can't explain why some things happen. I know it's hard to understand. And it's hard to understand when life so young, like him, 17 years old, is killed in a motorcycle accident. And, I just talked on a recent video about how difficult it is for a parent to lose a child, and to recognize that. This is before I got married, when all this happened and I wrote this song. And so I didn't have any children yet, but now looking back on it, I understand how devastating that was. Horrible. From a personal standpoint, I can really relate to what she was going through now more than I could when I wrote this song. But I wanted to help get that through. As a pastor, I try to give people comfort when they lose a loved one. And sometimes you just got to listen and just not say anything. Because sometimes you'll say something like, well, they're in a better place, or they're better off where they are, or there's a reason, and God, it's all in God's hands, or something like that. And sometimes it just, you say the wrong thing, and it's good intentioned, and it's true, but that's not what they need to hear right now. Sometimes they just need a shoulder to cry on. I've learned over the years to just sometimes close my mouth and just say, I'm here for you, whatever you need, and then let them come to me, and let them lead the conversation, so that I don't say something well-intentioned but hurt their feelings because it may sound uncaring, or, well, you just don't understand, to say that it's all for the best or something like that. How can you say that when I'm going through this? And, of course, years later, when you look back on it and you realize the goodness of God, that he actually accomplished something through it, or took evil and used it for good, but in the moment you can't see that. And so as anybody offering comfort to somebody who is going through a tragedy like that, sometimes it's better to just close your mouth and just say, listen, I understand. I don't know all the details. I don't know why these things happen, but if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you. So that's what I was getting across with these first lines. I can't explain why some things happen. I know it's hard to understand. When a life so young is ended like footprints in the sand. And so I was going for that image of the footprints of life as you're moving from one stage to the other, and then suddenly they're cut short. It's like the waves coming across the footprints and washing them away, and they disappear. And I don't know why he was taken, leaving you so alone. But don't you worry about your little boy. He's only going home. Now we get to the second verse. Okay, so the second verse, and this is directly about the funeral, because I remembered as I wrote the song, I was looking on the day of the funeral. It was a very dark and rainy, dreary day, very cloudy, and it did rain very hard that day. And so these lyrics are very true to the events of what happened. The sky was black the day he left us, not a bright spot in the sky. On that day, the heavens opened. That's the day the angels cried. And so I'm using this vivid mental imagery of the rain coming down being the teardrops of the angels, not crying because a soul was lost, or for Clay's, the boy that died, not for his sake, but for the sake of those that are left behind in mourning, those that have lost him. And so when a funeral comes along and it's somebody who is safe in the arms of Jesus, you can take comfort in that knowledge, but at the same time, it's a time of sadness for those that have lost their loved one because they're no longer with them, and they're going to miss them. And one day we'll be back together, as we'll get to in a moment with the lyrics. But in the meantime, it is a time of celebration that they're going home, where there's no more pain or suffering or anything like that. But at the same time, it's a time of loss, a time to mourn. As it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, there's a time to mourn, a time to cry, and then there's a time to dance and to celebrate. And a funeral for somebody who is going to heaven is a combination of the two. And so this is talking about that aspect of it that is a time for mourning, M-O-U-R-N. And so it's a time of sadness and grief. On that day the heavens opened, that's the day the angels cried. And so the angels are crying with us because they feel our pain and they want us to be comforted. But soon after, it was over, and a rainbow filled the east. And of course, after you've seen a heavy rainstorm, and then the sky clears out and the clouds go away, the sun comes out, and then suddenly you see this rainbow, and it's a beautiful promise of God. If you can go back to the book of Genesis and look up the original meaning of the rainbow and the promise that comes with that, it's a beautiful thing. And when we see that rainbow, and particularly on that day, after that heavy rainstorm, and laying him to rest, and to see that rainbow come out, it was a comfort to me. And so I wrote it into the song as a reminder and a comfort for his mother as well. And as his spirit entered heaven, then the earth once more knew peace. The storm was over. He's safe in heaven, and hopefully we can move on eventually and accept that and celebrate the fact that he is home and at peace, and that one day, hopefully, we will be reunited. I'll get to that in a moment. Okay, back to the chorus. There's Machelle singing with me, the harmony. I like that effect he's got on the guitar. All right, so this is the chorus, and each time the chorus changes slightly. I like to do this a lot with my songs, is on the choruses, typically the chorus repeats itself word for word, but I like to play with it every once in a while, just change a word or two to give it a little bit more depth. And I did that with this one. Oh, the hands of time are ticking, and people come and go, but our lives won't be forgotten underneath the bitter snow. For in the spring, the flowers bloom again, and the faded footprints will walk again. So we're talking about the seasons, the 4 seasons. You got winter, spring, summer, and fall, of course. And when you think of seasons of life, you think of the spring of life is when everything is brand new. It's like the birth of babies. April showers bring May flowers. And the same thing with children being born, babies. It's the spring of their life. And then you move through the summer, which is basically your youth and your young adulthood. Then you get into the fall or the autumn, which is your senior years. Then you get into the winter as to where it's the final years of your life, and you're getting ready to transition into the next life. Leave this one behind and move into heaven, or hopefully not the other place. But I wanted to use that imagery here of the seasons of life, and the hands of time are ticking, and time is moving on. And as it does, our lives here on earth, they happen, and then they're gone. People live this life, and then they disappear. People are here, the people that we spend our lives with, our loved ones, they are here, and then they're gone. And the same thing happens with every one of us. But our lives won't be forgotten underneath the bitter snow. And so in the winter of their life, when their life ends, they're buried underneath the winter snow, metaphorically speaking. But in the spring, the flowers bloom again. There's new life. And the other day I reacted to a new Willie Nelson song, and I mentioned one of his other new songs, The Last Leaf on the Tree, which I reacted to last season. And in that, he talked about the season of winter and autumn in the life as you're approaching the final years of your life, and used that same metaphor of the seasons. And so you think about the spring, the flowers bloom again, and there's new life, as I talk about my reaction to that song. And then the faded footprints that are along the beach, they walk again. You've got, I'll try to find a picture and post on here of my daughter walking along the beach with her grandfather. And this is before he passed away. And it's a beautiful picture. And you can see their footprints in the sand as they're walking along. And as his footprints fade out, he's left this life and gone on to heaven. And she's left behind. This child's footprints continue on after his are gone. But even beyond that, when we get to heaven, we're making new footprints up there as well. It's like our life begins again. It's going on, our second life. And so I hope that brings comfort I hope it brought comfort to her. She thanked me for writing this song. And I hope it brings comfort to any of you watching who may be going through a loss or still feeling the pain of loss of someone. And I hope that helps. But anyway, this verse, you'd probably notice the electric guitar came in. That was from the remix, and that's Marvin playing that. The original didn't have that. It gave it a little bit more of an edgy feel. On the harmony, I sang the lead, and one of the harmony parts, and then Machelle sings the other harmony. I think she sang the tenor, if I remember correctly, and then I sang the alto part, or maybe vice versa. Maybe I did the tenor and she did the alto. But anyway, we're singing the three different parts there together, and then we move on to the next verse. Now, on this verse, she sings, and get ready to listen, and see if this sounds to you like Karen Carpenter. That note right there. Beautiful. Did I come in with the harmony? And then it builds up with that electric guitar again. Okay, so I absolutely adore her voice. And did you hear it there when she hit that note on senseless? That vibrato reminds me a lot of Karen Carpenter. Just so amazing, beautiful. Sometimes life, it seems so senseless when it's gone with a wave of a hand. But it serves a greater purpose in the glory of God's plan. And once again, that's one of those things that you say. If you say it to somebody in the moment while they're grieving, it sounds trite. And it sounds cliche, and it can be offensive. And so sometimes we say that sort of thing because it is true, and we want to comfort people with those words. But if they're not ready to hear it, sometimes it's better to just not say it at all and just to say it later. But kind of you have to judge. It's a fine line you walk. You have to judge as to whether you think they're ready to hear that, or they just need to have somebody to listen. Instead of speaking, just close your mouth, listen, and be there for them. All right, so life goes on, though his is over. That's where I come in, sing the harmony. And that sounds really trite when you think about it. Oh, his life is over, but life goes on. And that's not what I intended with it. Looking back on it now, years later, I can see how that could be perceived that way, as saying, well, life goes on, it's no big deal. And that's not what I mean by that it's no big deal that his life is over, but his life is over, but life goes on. Not just our life, but his as well. And we may never understand, but one day we'll be together on the shores of glory land. And that's the point I was trying to get across with that line, is that with the seasons of life, you've got the 4 seasons, and you got the winter, which we think of as the end of life. But there's still a spring ahead, not just for us, but for him as well. As we go on into heaven, there's that rebirth of the new life. And so, although his life here is over, his life goes on. And that's what I was trying to get across. And so that's why I emphasized, even though I say life goes on, though his is over, could be misinterpreted, that I'm kind of being dismissive. But that's why I followed up with one day we'll be together on the shores of glory land, to emphasize that it's his life that's going on as well. And I'm not dismissing the fact that his life is over here on earth. Okay. Then we get back into this next second chorus. Now I'm singing lead and she's doing the tenor. Okay, so the sands of time are sifting. Notice I changed the chorus on here from the hands of time are ticking to the sands of time are sifting. And that's where I like to do that every now and then, is kind of change one or two words to emphasize a different aspect of the chorus. The sands of time are sifting is basically the same thing as saying the hands of time are ticking, but it's using a different analogy. And we know God really cares. And then we even changed the melody a little bit on this one. The third line on the previous chorus was, but our lives won't be forgotten. It's that 3-note, forgotten. But on this one, we go up on that last part and kind of a little fluctuation there. Even though we may not see the light, it goes, see the light, it goes up and down. Where before it was, it just stair steps down. Won't be forgotten. And that's for emphasis too. You know, when you're writing a song, you want to kind of mix it up a little bit musically with the melody and give it a little bit of emotional feel. So even though we may not see the light, we know that it is there. And I've always found that metaphor comforting as well. As, you know, we may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there is a light. And we just got to keep walking through the darkness and know that that light is there. And that's where faith comes in. As you're going through that tunnel, you can't see the light always if it's a long tunnel, especially if there's a curve in it. But we take it on faith that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Now you can say, hopefully that light coming at you is the sun at the other end of the tunnel and not the lights of an oncoming train. So you want to take that into consideration too. But when it comes to salvation and belonging to God, you know, hopefully we're on the right track and we are heading to heaven. And like I said, that light at the end of the tunnel is the Son of God and not you're heading to the other place. That light is an oncoming train, metaphorically speaking. But even though we may not see the light, we know that it is there. Children of God, we know that as we go through difficulties in this life, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And God is there waiting to help us through it. Jesus is walking with us, footprints along the way. And when we get to the point where we can't walk anymore, he takes us up and carries us the rest of the way through that tunnel. For in the spring, the flowers bloom again, and the faded footprints will walk again. And that's exactly a repeat of the last two lines of the first chorus. Okay, now we go back in and we repeat the chorus again with another adjustment on it. Is that effect on the electric guitar? Go back up to the third chorus. So back to that first line from the first chorus. The hands of time are ticking and people come and go. Going up on the word be to add that variety for dramatic effect. And the electric guitar just kind of fades out as it gets soft here, and the piano keeps it going through to the coda. But anyway, the last couple lines in the first chorus, it was for in the spring the flowers bloom again, and I changed it that time to for one day soon you'll see his face again. So instead of the metaphor of the flowers blooming again, I brought it home and gave it like a more down to earth actual vision of what I was trying to get across. Is instead of speaking metaphorically and saying the flowers are going to bloom again, the faded footprints will walk again, say you'll see his face again, to emphasize that yes, his life is continuing in heaven, and if we follow Christ, we'll be there as well to see our loved ones again. And then the faded footprints will walk again, and then it finishes out the song. And that trill the chimes at the very end. And that was David that did that on the drums. I think maybe it was Marvin. It was either Marvin or David that did that. But the instrumentation on that last line, as we slowed down and I sang just a solo vocal, "Don't you worry about your little boy, he's only going home," which is the closing lines of the first verse. You hear the instrumentation. You've got the solo picking on the acoustic guitar. That's me. And you got me playing the chords on the synthesizer. That's the chords that are holding out. And then you got Dina playing the piano part where you got the little intricate melody in there. And then you got the drums coming out back in and doing the chimes. And then Marvin, of course, with that last drum on the electric guitar. Beautiful song. I really appreciate them helping me record this. I hope it gives you guys some comfort as well. I hope you enjoyed me explaining a little bit behind the song. As I said, it was written in October 1995 in memory of my friend who was killed in an accident at the age of 17. And we recorded it originally in 1998 and then did the remix in 2004. If you go to the link in the description, you can check it out over there and listen to the song in its entirety. And if you would, when you go over that channel, that's my band's channel. So go ahead, if you would, and subscribe to that channel over there and give us some support and hit like on that song as well. But and check out our other songs as well that I recorded with my band, Crusade. But before you go, if you enjoyed my reaction and my delving into this song and explaining the music behind it, hit the like button. Comment down below and give me some suggestions on artists and songs that you want me to react to going on in the next however many episodes we've got. This is episode 300. And I absolutely love reacting to you guys' requests. So get those in the comments. It can be any genre, any artist. And before you go, if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. And if you are looking for some merchandise, I do have some hats available. There's a link in the description also, where if you want to support the channel financially, you can send us a donation. And we'll send you one of these hats or all three as a thank you for your support of the channel. And these are the three designs that we've got. Let me try to get these in the picture. But there's details in that link as to how you can get your hand on one of these hats. And they are brand new, never been worn. These ones I'm holding right here are the display ones that I wear, just so you guys can see what they're like. But anyway, thank you guys once again for being part of the Lightside family. Thank you for 300 episodes being here with me. And we'll see you next time on the Lightside Music Reactions. Have a great day, and God bless everybody. Bye.